Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome one and all. I am super excited that you've joined me on this magical today. And today I brought my partner Brian back on the show because he has just had an incredible medicine journey experience. And I wanted him to share those experiences with you. So welcome back, Brian. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And
yeah, of course.
Blessings and greetings to all of you listening out there. It's always an honor and a joy to be here to share my heart and reflections with you. And I'm really excited about sharing some elements of my recent experience with you all.
Right, elements, because it was a long journey, a couple days worth, right?
Yeah,
and
two nights. It was 2 nights.
But how many hours is each night, for those who don't know?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. See, the thing is that I'll just say what the medicine was. It was ayahuasca, and there's totally like a time stretch thing that happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say sharing some elements, you're obviously not going to share the whole experience because it's we have just a little bit of time.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's a good 6 hours probably at least each night. Yeah. Something along those lines. And what was really interesting about this, just as kind of an anecdotal thing, like so this particular temple and the facilitators really kind of want to honor rest as much as possible. Traditionally this medicine is done at nighttime, but because of where we are in the world, this was in North America, and because they wanted to kind of honor people getting at least a little bit of nighttime sleep, they actually started when the sun was out, which was really interesting, which was kind of actually first time for me. And anyways, but it was a long journey each night, the second night especially. There's this fun thing that happens, time dilation thing, so there's an hour and a half after the last person receives their medicine and before they allow you to come up and get more medicine. And this has happened to me before with this particular temple and place that I've gone to. But basically, sometimes the medicine comes on so strong within that hour and a half that when they say it's time to get like first rounds of second doses, I mean, the whole room like erupts in like laughter and just like it's like this, like, really? We just that was just an hour and a half with everything that just happened. So that was kind of, it's interesting because I think what's interesting about this medicine and the experience that I had too is that like it's totally built upon this group dynamic that kind of leads how it ends up, where it goes and how it ends up. I've had some more mellow ceremonies, and this one was definitely not mellow. I mean, it was like deep, eternal work from like start to finish. And yeah, so there was just a few things that came up that I really wanted to share, specifically like with this community, because I personally had such a transformational experience. I mean, the second night for me, I just literally felt like I was transformed on every fundamental level. And I really stand behind this medicine when facilitated and worked with in the right settings. And the experiences that I had also, I was shown don't require plant medicine, right? And that was kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to share this, is because I was given a really profound opportunity during this ceremony to essentially like sum up and commit to a path that's been really kind of piecing itself together for me. I mean, over my entire life, but really like over the last like 4 or 5 years, with these different pieces that led to this one point. So what I want to really touch on is that one of the things that medicine really showed me during this whole weekend was the importance of initiation, like this process of initiation, because the first night for me was actually mostly centered around like fatherhood and like healing my father lineage. And one of the big things I saw that first night was how fathers in our society generally are not initiated into that role. Mm-hmm. And that initiation process is, and I'm sure it could look a lot of different ways, but the way I visioned it is like, you know, it's like you're receiving this mantle of importance that is so important. I mean, it is the pinnacle of if any man in this world it becomes a father, I firmly believe it is like, it's probably the most important role, because it's the protector, provider of new life, right? Mm-hmm. And so that initiation process, which is lacking in our society, feels so important because it's an opportunity to show the new father how important it is. Like, and also, this was a big theme of the weekend, what kind of like resources and protection actually comes with really committing to that role. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I know that like becoming a father was really fast and furious for me, and I didn't really have that initiation opportunity. I realized that a lot of the kind of difficulties that I've had in the beginning years with fatherhood was as a result of that like lack of initiation process, and kind of like that lack of a ceremonial, community-held transition from, you know, single guy, not father, to committed partnership father. And so, yeah, that was just one example that was personal and really deep for me of that initiation process. And then the second night, there was a really powerful initiation that actually happened with me. But I want to take a pause. I don't know if you have any questions or anything that you want to interject, because I'm kind of just monologuing at the moment.
No, I love it. I'm just kind of fascinated at this point listening to the story. Okay. Well, it just makes me think of the masculine, of the divine masculine, and how it's been suppressed and is underserved, and needs to be paid more attention to, recognized, honored. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that initiation process really, so the first night, I'll actually just backtrack real quick, because basically what happened from that point on, when I realized that there was an initiation necessary, is I started dialoguing with the medicine, and there's a really beautiful group of guiding spirits that are part of this particular ceremony that I am a part of. And this particular tradition, they actually have a candle in the middle of the temple. And traditionally, ayahuasca is done again like in the dark. And yes, it was daytime, but this candle from the tradition, they call it tatawari, and the candle represents the it's the shaman. It's the shaman that's actually working through the shaman, right? The original shaman, and it's a male energy for the most part. Like it's the masculine kind of presence that's working with the feminine presence, which is the medicine. And after I became aware of this like importance of this initiation process, like I went up to Tatewari and I said, actually, I don't think I was intentionally necessarily doing this. At this point, I was just really hearing and like following the guidance that was within the medicine. And she was telling me like, okay, go to Tatewari. And so I went up there, and Tatewari like initiated me into fatherhood. Like you gave me an opportunity to either accept or reject this mantle. And I think that's like that's like a major or the most important part of the initiation process is the opportunity to accept or reject the role.
Sure, everything's a choice.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest piece. We have a choice.
Yes, the choice. And that choice is such a huge component, because I mean we can make a choice in any moment, right? And that underlying message within it all, which sounds cliche, I know you talk about it on the show, but it's like that choice between love and fear. And that was really shown to me clearly. I mean, it really is that simple at its foundation, because every time we have a choice, what I was shown is that we have like two minds, and those two minds are essentially aligned with two kind of main rivers of timelines. You know, and all these, you know, these rivers kind of branch off into all kinds of other timelines, but essentially it's like whenever we are in our fear, worry mind, we're aligned with that river and timeline of all the potential things that are destructive and not in alignment. And of course, you know, you're nodding your head because you talk about it a lot. I know. I know that you do, but I'm just edifying kind of what I saw with the medicine. And
but I love the visual. I love the river and the timelines. Yeah, because it makes sense visually on a different level, right? When you can see it. So continue.
Absolutely.
Please.
Well, and the visuals were really interesting, just because that I think what it was really showing me is that it's like you're aligning yourself with infinite opportunity. Well, one is infinite, one's not, right? Because fear stops at some point in time.
Yes,
right? in the whole eternity. But at the same time, they're essentially, they almost look infinite, and really with like every moment of every day, I was shown it's like you're either on one timeline or you're the other, right? You're in one mind or the other. So, and I know that you're probably nodding your head too, because you're like, I've been trying to tell you this for a while, dude.
I have. I'm glad the medicine told you.
For those who may not know, I have come into this world and reality, and have, you know, been programmed into more of a worry mind, and it has been a struggle for me. And so it was a huge opportunity for me to kind of see just like how that works, but also the reminder of how easy it is to really just bounce. You could just bounce from one timeline back to the other. And we do,
without realizing it all the time.
Yeah.
So if you pay attention and focus on it and actually choose the thoughts, choose the thought focus, then you also choose your timeline.
Yes, absolutely. So the second night, and this is what I really am excited to share with everyone, because I was given an opportunity that I just can't describe how profound it was. And I'm really just gonna, you know, generalize it, because I'm still kind of internalizing and integrating. But the main thing that happened, well, I got to tell you all. So when I went outside after it just kind of gotten dark, and the medicine was really strong for me still, I went outside and walked out underneath the stars, and I looked over to my right. And there was like this large being that was sitting there, and it looked like a person, very large person, like sitting on top of the mountain praying. And I immediately just like stopped dead in my tracks and got chills all over my body. And the first thing that came to my mind was dragon. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I'm getting chills thinking about it, because like as soon as I heard that, I felt its attention come over to me. Mm-hmm. And I literally, I was just like a deer in headlights. Because as soon as it turned its attention to me, I felt what a dragon is, like for the first time ever. And but it was like a remembering, right? Mm-hmm. Again, it was totally a remembering. Mm-hmm. It was like remember. And just feeling the ancient wisdom of this being that has been around essentially since the beginning of time. Yeah. Like one of the original stewards of creation.
Sure. Element keepers,
right? Yeah. So they're like the guardians that have helped build the foundations of this world and other worlds, right? And it was right there. And I was just like,
always right there. We just don't always see.
Exactly. And they are always there, right?
Yeah.
And I was just getting downloaded with all kinds of feelings and thoughts and stuff. And one of the things that I was receiving was how profound of an experience this was. And just to put a little note on this, the reason I was gifted with this opportunity is that when I went into the second evening, I have been through a shamanic initiation process for the last several years that has involved what has been told to me as jaguar medicine. And this has been something I've been unraveling for a while and something I've sat with, like, with all the things of like, who's this white Western guy to be like carrying jaguar medicine? Like, what is that? Like that kind of mind's thoughts and stuff like that. And really just like going to spirit and be like, okay, like what does this mean? Like, what are you calling me forward to? And there's been pieces that have come to me along the way. And this particular evening on the second night, I asked, when I got my medicine served, I asked the facilitator, the male who serves the medicine, I said, I would like to ask you and the medicine to teach me the ways of the jaguar medicine. And that was like, I look back at now that night, because there was so much that happened that night, and it was all because that's what they were doing. That's what the medicine was doing with me. And that was the download I got when I saw this dragon. It's like, that's part of the jaguar sight. Because like, the jaguar specifically, like the cats, they see the other worlds, right? Yeah. And so that's what I was, being gifted with. And what was interesting is like, I felt like I lived and downloaded a lifetime's worth of information just like within a few moments of gazing at this dragon. And then within the few moments, I heard very clearly, okay, that's enough now. You need to leave me alone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, that's how they behave. It's interesting because I've had sessions where people either are dragons or visit dragons, or dragons visiting other dragons. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the way they are. And here's what's cool. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, dude.
But this is cool before I forget. So I don't usually tell Brian about my sessions. And I know I didn't tell you about the dragon one. Or maybe I said I had a cool dragon one today. But that would have been about it. But in this session, the person was a younger dragon who went to go visit the wise elder who lived at the top of the mountain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where the wise dragon lives.
Absolutely.
Ancient wise dragon, yeah.
I love that. And, this place that I go or went and have gone in the past is really, this land is so beautiful and sacred. And the temple, like, it's just... it really is protected. I've only experienced this medicine outside this temple once, and I didn't feel that same level of protection, although I did feel it because the facilitators were holding good space. But at the same time, there's such a deep level of protection there, and that was one of the things the dragon showed me. It's like, this land is protected because this is where I go to pray, is what it told me.
Wow.
So after that, I was just in total awe, and I had gone outside to pee originally, so I went and did that, and then I was like on my way back in, and the stars were like, it's time to speak with us.
Wow.
And so I, and the whole time, and when I say stuff like this, by the way, it's like, it's feelings, it's thoughts, sometimes it's words, but it's just like, I'm totally like, okay, following it. And so I lay down, I lay down under the stars, and they proceeded to initiate me by first really what was brought up was this name of way shower that was given to me several years ago in a sweat lodge. And it's a spirit name that's traditionally in like the community that I did the sweat lodge with. You only typically use it within those spaces. But spirit was kind of telling me like, this is supposed to be your musician name, your facilitator name. It's like your whatever title, I guess, which has been a really interesting process for me, because it just feels like it felt big, but also I'm like, okay, who am I to be called myself way shower, all these feelings that come up with it. And the vision of the jaguar was first brought through when the dance chief got that name for me. So it's all kind of put together. And they brought up this name and started showing me like what it actually means, and what my mission is, what my sacred purpose is in this reality. And they gave me the opportunity, again, an initiation to accept this role. And this was, again, like the first time that this was actually I was going through this process. Like, do you accept this mission, this sacred path, your path of service that you are meant to do, And at that point, I was just like, with every fiber of my being, yes, And as soon as that happened, everything changed, is the only way I can say it. Everything changed. And they then, and it was, when I say they, it's just like stars, God, just like all the beings that are, the oneness, and all the beings that kind of like are part of our guiding team. We're all there, right? And this is one of the things why I'm telling the story that I'm going to wrap up here in a second, is that like what was shown to me is what's always present for each one of us, And this is like the big takeaway, because we don't necessarily need to do plant medicine ceremonies. And I also don't want to set this expectation, because the only reason that this happened for me at this time is because I was ready, willing, and there was multiple years and pieces that needed to be explored and set up and put into place for this moment to happen, right? Healing on certain levels, because if I wasn't healed on certain levels, I wouldn't have been totally and utterly willing to actually integrate and accept this initiation on all the fundamental levels of my being.
It's the personal work and the personal responsibility that I'm also always talking about on the show, that is necessary, that we do for ourselves to make us ready for our sacred mission.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm not necessarily going to speak to this next part in detail, but I'm just going to say that after I accepted that, they also offered me an even, if I can even say this, it was like an even bigger kind of opportunity. And it is my path of service, but what they showed me was what is available to me if I continue to commit to this path of service. And what I'll just say in general way, it was like, all the resources, guidance, relations, materials, people, places, things, like they showed me all of it, just in kind of like a general download, like this is all available to you.
And it's available to all of us, which is so cool.
Yes.
When you do the work, recognize it, believe it, all the things.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. and it was staggering. I mean, at this point I was like falling apart from, it was like it was just intense loving gratitude. Because when I felt, when I could really, as best as my human on medicine self could integrate, like when I really felt how much support was available to me, and just what a gift this life is, that and the gift of the mission. It was, I was just falling apart. I was in a puddle of tears, and just like I literally just couldn't hold the gratitude. I thought I was going to explode, and so all of this happened, and ever since that part, and the rest of the night was like synchronicity after synchronicity, and the days after, like synchronicity, alignment, like just downloads, all these things just started happening. It was just like the freaking floodgates opened, and it was like, you have committed, you have accepted this mantle, now here's what we're going to give you. And it was like gift after thought after thing, and it was just like, it is insane. And so I wanted to bring this up to everyone, because one of the visions and things that was given to me as a part of this mission is to help others to have this type of experience, and to be initiated into their own path of their sacred mission, their sacred service in this world. So much so, I mean, I'll just say it. The dragons have blessed me with their initiatory magic, essentially. And this is not something that I take lightly. Like, this was something that was like gifted to me as part of that night. Like, you now have the opportunity to work with our primal eternal magic as a part of your service. And I'm just really like excited to share this, while also understanding how sacred and important it is. So I wanted to come on here, and I wanted just to talk about this, to just remind everyone of just what's available when we have this commitment, and to also kind of remind and encourage that this type of experience can happen in any given moment, at any given time, and it does require like a certain alignment. It requires the parts of ourselves. I like to look at like the chakra system, like if our chakra systems are out of alignment and are kind of have their own willpower to enough of a degree, this type of initiation won't like drop down into the roots of the being far enough for it to actually crystallize and stay there.
Right.
And so I want to present an opportunity as well with this, that I am being guided to initiate one human being right now in a 90-day-ish type of experience program that is, I'm not going to go into all of it. I did post it on my Facebook page recently, but at the same time, I just want to kind of put it out there that it's the totality of all the medicine and abilities that I have available to me being offered and available to help initiate this one human being into their sacred path and service, to as deep of a place as possible, in a similar way to how I've been initiated, and to do that in a way that is being able to learn, draw upon what I've learned over kind of crunching through this over the years, and hopefully make it more like efficient and direct and impactful for this one person who might be interested in this. So I want to encourage anyone who's listening just to really kind of internalize the opportunity here to understand where the initiation is offering itself to you. And if you feel like you're someone who's just like really feeling called to diving into this in a deep way, I want to make myself available to potentially have a conversation and see if it would be in alignment for me to help that one person. So yeah, that's my offer right now. It feels really big. And I'm just kind of letting spirit guide me, because there's a lot that I'm offering as a part of it. But I'm I am aligning with it being the right person, and then it's the right time, and that it's the right thing that's supposed to happen. So trusting.
That's how it works. It always aligns because, when we're given these things, they're given for a reason, because there is one person that needs you. And so maybe that one person is listening, and give them your website so they know where to find you.
Yeah, it's a brand new website, still work in progress, but it's www.wayshower.love.
Awesome. You did a
I
.love, did
love I dovetailed on the grand ideas that I got from my beloved over here.
That's
so
awesome.
It's
I didn't know that's the
wayshower.love.
first time you said that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good. .loves are great.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the energy of what's present.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for pointing out that the medicine is not necessary, which you're not going to be working with the medicine with people. You are going to be teaching people how to do this on your own, like you were saying, that the medicine is not necessary. It can be a catapult, but we all have this power within us, this innate capability to connect within our own selves. And that, I think, to me, is the most valuable piece. Yes, we can use the medicines to get there, but this is not how we do our daily. And to really learn how to do this for ourselves is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%.
I agree. So I'm excited about it.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to leave you with the song by Dea Dova, Dragons Crossing. Until next time, thank you for joining us, Brian.
Bye-bye.
We love you all.